Lore Boys are back, so let's cut the slack and get this show back on track. Hey everybody, sorry for the sound quality. We're trying out a new recording setup. My name's Ethan. I didn't grab my mic from Peter's place because I forgot that we were trying a new sound setup. I'm joined by James Miller. Say hi, James.
Hi, my name's James, and I'm going to be in Mexico starting next week, so we wanted to try doing this whole remote thing. Have to go out for a few weeks for work. And rather than leave you guys hanging like I did when I went to Poland, we want to try and keep this going.
Much easier when it's not a 6-hour time difference. So.
Right. Yeah, only 1 hour. And
yeah, exactly.
Lastly,
it's Peter O'Donoghue.
The only one with his regular mic for now.
Yes, because I have Ethan's hostage right now.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're getting 2 cell phone quality recordings. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave Jamie out in the cold with his shitty work headset mic.
Right, but to make up for it, Peter's talking into 2 good quality mics. So
yeah, exactly. One of them's not plugged in, but it would sound really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey
As
everybody,
with everything, it's ASMR.
we're the ASMR podcast that talks about video game lore and stuff.
Very quietly.
2 weeks ago, we did an episode on Magic the Gathering character named Kamal and his Odyssey. And this is kind of a follow-up episode to that one. I'm not saying you need to listen to the last one, but it'll definitely help you out a lot. Before we get started, we just wanted to say we did finally get a Patreon set up. So as
we promised last week.
Yeah, as Peter so boldly promised and subsequently followed up on. All he needed to do was take 2 weeks off work, and we were able to get it set up. So thank you so much for I think we have 2 patrons at time of recording. Thank you so much, guys.
After like 24 hours too. It was so quick.
Yeah,
it's
great.
So
Thank
quick.
you very much.
I don't want to spend too long on this, but if you want to support us, head over to that. We have 1 tier right now. It's $1. We'll probably add more tiers at some point. If you want to leave us a message there, we'll read it out on the show. So thanks so much to the 2 patrons we have so far. We'll read your names at the end of the episode and give you a little thank you. So
It's $3, by the way. Yeah, not $1. $3, $1 per boy.
okay, well,
a boy.
$3
Lore Boys Prime.
$3 Canadian. So
Yeah.
let's be real, guys.
Basically nothing.
What's the
Yeah.
conversion from $3 Canadian to Mexican pesos? Jamie, go ahead.
And then to Twitch.
It's about 90 bits. Yeah.
90 bits. Okay, 90 bits. Okay.
Right,
Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do you guys remember from last week? Why don't we start with Jamie, because he typically remembers less, and I like to put him on blast sometimes.
Dude, I actually remember a lot this time.
Just now.
Yeah. So we were gonna talk about the sorceress. I forget her name,
Jessica.
but we wanted to start Jessica. But we wanted to start
Jessica.
with her brother,
No I.
Jessica. Jessica. Yeah, no I in team.
Just Jessica. Yeah.
Just Jessica.
No,
yeah.
no INT. Is that what you said?
In team.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
no I.
yeah,
no
no
INT. No inting, boys. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
We're going B.
so since we're not focusing on her, we're focusing on Kamal, which is her brother, who comes from the land of the green. He went off to the town of the black. This is all like magic mana colors, basically.
Yeah.
And he started to get. They didn't like him at first, but then he grew to fame by fighting in these death pits, basically, these arenas. And then he wanted to get the Mercedes. What the fuck was it called?
I actually know that because I was on our website, theloreboys.com, like half an hour ago.
It's the monkey's
Ferrari.
paw. Yeah,
the
Ferrari.
Essentially a monkey.
Mercedes Ferrari.
Yeah.
Monkey's paw. And then from there, he ended up. A giant dragon came and attacked the arena, and he ended up killing the dragon. But a bird person took credit for it and got the Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Then he wished that there was enough water in the town or something, and then everything flooded.
No, I remember that. So because it's a monkey's paw, it has ironic consequences for your wishes. Birdman went into the palace and wanted to be Bird King. His name I don't remember, but he was just like, I wish everybody in here turned to crystal.
No, it wasn't Laquatus.
Laquatus is the merman.
Yeah. So a
shit.
merman was chasing Bird Person,
Right.
who was Lieutenant Kirari, I think. And Lieutenant Kirari ended up turning the whole fortress into crystal.
But he was inside, so he was also turned to crystal because the Mirari takes everything literally.
Yeah. So he was like, I want everything to be crystal. I want everything I own to be crystal. And he just turned himself into crystal, the fool.
And then somehow the Mirari miraculously ends up back with the arena and a guy named Chainer. I think his name was.
Yeah, so it's not in Chainer's possession yet. So it
He works for the Cabal.
yeah, so the Cabal is like the black organization. The Order is the white organization. Real quick, because we did talk about this last episode. There's 5 colors in Magic: white, blue, black, red, green. They each have different kind of aspects, whereas white is very orderly. Blue is kind of like intellectual. Black is kind of evil, I guess. They're trying to move away from that a bit, where it's more just like death rather
Metal.
than evil. It's pretty metal, yeah. Red is kind of like rage or fury, and green is kind of like life, verdant and green and beautiful.
What color
Kamal
would a
is
power
bordering.
Sorry, one at a time, boys.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Pete.
I said, what color would a power metal band be? It would be like black something.
Be black, just black, yeah.
Just
Power metal?
black?
For sure, yeah, for sure. It's all they're all
Kamal-
leather and chain whips, yeah.
And Kamal is green and black.
Cabal is black.
Right?
Cabal is just
Kamal.
black. Kamal, yeah. So one thing you got wrong was he's not a green warrior. The reason you got that wrong is because I explicitly said that he was last week. But if you had done your homework, you would have realized that I was lying and wrong. So I'm gonna have to deduct some points for that one, James.
Fuck you.
Fortunately, better luck next time, dude.
You listen to the teacher.
It's like you
before
just
doing the test.
you can just never remember what we talk about on the episodes, huh? That's crazy.
Oh my god, this is literally the best I've remembered any episode that was 2 weeks prior. And
Yeah, but you
this
got
is what
that.
happened.
You got that wrong though. So, you know.
Yeah.
That's a scene.
oh,
sorry.
man.
That was pretty good though. So when he went after the lieutenant, the bird person, the Avon, and everything got turned to crystal, there was another person, a merfolk, Laquatus, who is ambassador to the mer people, who are like mermaid people, fish people who can transform back and forth between fish and human form or like humanoid form. He ended up giving it to his dumb lackey, and his dumb lackey brought it back to their emperor, and their emperor
Or
was the
whatever his
one.
name was.
Yeah, their emperor was the one who wished for a world covered in water, and just ended up like devastating the shoreline and their own economy, and he just kind of got sucked into the Mirari in a terrible way.
Sucks.
So, after the tsunami destroyed Kamal's home and devastated the lives of those he had come to know as his friends, he returned to his Mirari mania and followed the artifact back to Cabal City, where it ended up at the end of last episode.
Right.
It had been restored as a prize in a Bloodsport arena. So Kamal was fighting for the longest time in this tournament. A dragon attacked the city, like Jamie said, and the Mirari was given away to somebody else. So rather than keeping the fight in the tournament, Kamal decided to chase after the Mirari. And at the end of it all, he didn't end up getting it, but it just got put back where it started in the beginning, and he's fighting for it again.
Turns out you can just win trophies. You don't actually have to steal them from other people.
Yeah. Well, he's going to try. We'll see if he gets there. Or
You'll
maybe
learn nothing.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe somebody else just wins it again. I don't know.
Yeah. If you spend more time practicing and less time chasing down the trophy from other people, you'd actually probably win it, dude. You've got a lot of potential.
So where we left him, he was paired up with his friend Chainer, trying to take on all comers for a chance at the ultimate prize, which surely won't bite him if he ever manages to obtain it, like it did everyone else, right?
No.
Nah. So Kamal, as I mentioned last time, and as Jamie mentioned, has a sister named Jessica. She was born in a dwarf tribe. The head of the tribe is named Balthor Fist, sorry. And she ended up spending most of her time growing up with the dwarves rather than the humans in the tribe. It was kind of it was non-segregated, so it was.
She just likes being tall.
Pretty progressive. Yeah, exactly. She's just she likes that feeling of power that comes with.
Yeah, exactly.
She mostly led a peaceful, happy life until her brother left to seek his fortunes in the big, evil city. She spent many nights sitting up worrying about her brother's well-being. Kamal, for his part, was doing all right, at least at first. He and Chainer formed a successful partnership. Chainer, I mentioned last time, is a dementia summoner. So he's...
Right. Yeah.
He summons demons that he can imagine. Or like his greatest fears he can manifest into reality. You guys shat on him and said he should be able to manifest somebody else's fears. And I said...
I think that is probably better to give them a good spook, but I mean, I don't know.
It just seems counterproductive, right? What's my biggest weakness? Let's summon that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're in control of it now. Maybe it's like the whole thing is like growth as a person. Maybe he can only summon each fear once because then he's no longer afraid of it.
You could control the most powerful single father that the Magic the Gathering has ever seen.
So Kamal and Chainer formed a successful partnership that broke the record for the most consecutive wins, but they parted company.
Two.
Yeah, two whole bouts. Wow, you didn't die in your second try? Never heard of that before. They ended up parting ways when the Cabal Patriarch, so like the leader of the Cabal, insisted that they throw their next match. So it turns out like this like underworldy, bad color aligned organization has some like shady dealings in the blood sport gambling arena where they want people to throw fights.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And our good boy Kamal is like, well, I'm not going to throw my fights. I'm going to win on merit alone.
It's just like that movie Snatch.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like Snatch. He's Mickey, and he's a gypsy. Well, he's a barbarian, kind of like a gypsy.
Yeah.
And the Cabal Patriarch is going to burn down his mom's trailer. I think so.
He likes dogs.
Yeah, he does like dogs, as they say in the movie.
Digs.
Dogs.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced dogs.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I like that. Dicks.
Kamal, it seems, has morals and wouldn't be throwing matches, even though a reality-altering artifact of unrealized power was on the line. So
What's with every fictional like boxer or fighter having morals and never wanting to throw a fight? Like,
moral
what the
scruples.
fuck?
Yeah,
like how do you go from like boxer to bookie or whatever, some guy who knows the game, and then like not still like I guess it's because nobody with morals ever lives long enough to retire because they always get beat to death by the mob in the locker room.
Yeah,
or you just wouldn't be a fictional character at that point. You'd just be a real life character if you're crooked all the way through.
Yeah,
I guess
not
so.
wrong. And it, like especially if like, hey, there's like the prize is something that grants wishes. So it does seem kind of weird that the guy would try and get him to throw the fight. It's like, we can give you something that grants wishes if you win, but I think you should throw the fight and we'll give you some gold or something. Like, okay, cool, dude. I'll just wish for gold whenever I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll wish for there to be no mob. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. The bookies just says like, oh yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Anyway, I'm gonna go and plan something else. Yeah. Don't worry about me.
So Kamal and Chainer, they break up the band. We'll call the Cabal Patriarch Yoko because he broke up the band. Because Kamal has too morally he has scruples, as they say.
Oh yeah.
They remain friends, however.
Tough to get rid of.
Yeah, scruples. It's like a whole antibiotic treatment, and you got to get like a cream, and it's a big mess.
You have to throw a fight, and once in the morning with food, throw a fight at the end of the day again with food.
Yeah, that's it. Essential oils.
Yeah. You got essential oil before every fight. So they stay friends, Kamal and Chainer. And Chainer eventually asks Kamal to accompany him on a sacred ritual to increase his own power, and Kamal agrees. Which again, I think is weird. It's like you're competing for a thing that grants wishes. Like I get he's your friend, but like now you've broken up the team and you're both still competing in the same tournament for the same prize, which grants wishes. And he's like, I have this ritual thing that I want to go do that'll make me stronger, but I'm too weak to do it myself. Will you come help me? And he's just like, yeah, sure, dude. Like,
maybe they've seen the ironic tragedy that has befallen other people holding the Mirari, and they still want it, but they're just like, yeah, but let's be a little bit more responsible.
Cautiously optimistic. So they have they have seen the firsthand, pretty much the horrible devastation that the Mirari can cause, and Chainer in particular was the one who recovered it from the Mir Empire and brought it back to Cabal to Cabal City for the tournament, whereas Kamal saw the bird person turn to stone or turn to crystal. So they're definitely aware of the stakes here. And let's keep in mind, one of them's power is to summon horrors from his own mind at will. This seems like a good guy to have this power, I feel like.
Where are they going? They're going on a quest to go to get more power, and you're saying fears are going to be really useful. Where are they going?
Am I saying fears are going to be really useful? I'm just saying keep it in mind that this artifact, which corrupts everybody's mind and warps them into people with like crazy ambitions, which end up consuming them in the end. There's a guy whose whole shtick is thinking up horrific demons and willing them into existence. Who's going for it?
Oh, so this guy's power isn't like Yu-Gi-Oh, where after a fight the monster goes away. He like creates a new demon.
like he summons real demons, but he just like he doesn't have to pull them from like the like the plane of chaos or whatever. He can just summon
Shadow
demons
realm.
from his imagination.
Okay.
Anything he
they
thinks
stay
up.
around and they can fight anybody.
Yeah, they gotta be. They have to be dealt with one way or the other.
Right.
I think he can. I think dementia summoners can typically banish them. Like you can typically let go of your own summons. So, and we have talked about this before on past episodes, but like in Magic the Gathering, you are a summoner, and when you like play a creature card in the card game Magic the Gathering, you are essentially summoning that creature from like another plane because it's a multiverse. There's all these different planes. You're pulling it from its plane to your plane to fight for you.
Right. Okay.
So his plane is kind of like a personal plane that is his imagination.
And then every demon he summons, he takes down to the river, promises that they can play with the rabbits, and shoots in the back of the head.
Yeah. Essentially.
Oh, crap. I've been on data this whole time.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that might help. I hope I don't cut for a sec.
I hope I don't cut out for a sec.
Perfect.
Okay, well, we'll...
Oh, fuck.
Oh, he's back.
Am I back?
You're back, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
So, the ritual begins. Kamal is going to help Chainer. It begins with them tracking and catching new creatures for Chainer to summon in battle. So they're going out, they're finding horrific beasts, and they're
You afraid
letting...
of this? No, put it back.
They're letting it... Yeah, that's it. How about this rabbit? No, I kind of like it. How about this tiger? Ooh, kind of spooky. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let's kill that one.
Spider's big, but not that big.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know.
I mean, you're riding it.
Yeah, I'm just not grossed out by spiders. What can I say? So Kamal, for his part, feels a great deal of guilt. The random slaughter of animals just to feed the pits goes against what he had come to believe. Killing people was fine, but animals? Come on.
But a lot of people feel that way.
Cute little kitties? Capybaras?
Giant spiders?
Giant spiders? Giant friendly spiders. I assume they killed a couple friendly spiders. Not every spider's mean.
That's true. That's a broad stroke.
So
That
like
one in Harry Potter was cool, I think. Oh, no, it wasn't. Shit.
no, none of the spiders in Harry Potter were very cool, I don't think.
He was like, didn't try to kill them immediately, but then he had like 100,000 children that wanted to eat wizards.
Yeah, well that's it.
Right.
He specifically lured them into his quote unquote web in order to sick his young on them, I think.
Right.
This is the Harry Potter episode. Surprise, motherfuckers! Haha.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame a snake for having the nature of a snake, right?
That is true. That is true.
Someone said that one.
But snakes aren't spiders, so I don't understand the parable, but not really related at all in any way. I think spiders are mammals. They have hair, right? So probably mammals.
And milk. Or
And milk.
silk, I'm not sure.
ears.
Which is also a brand that you put in your coffee.
Yeah, yeah. They produce
There
almond
is.
milk.
Oh, yeah.
So Kamal's kind of having all this problems. Chainer ends up ending the ritual like right before Kamal is like, "Well, I'm going to leave you behind." So they're like on their way back to Cabal City. After
Does he have enough scary shit now?
he's got all the scary shit. He's got his scary quiver full of scary arrows.
Okay.
Scaros.
Scaros, yeah.
Hey! I'm leaving, guys.
That's Jamie actually said that first, but because of the satellite delay, I got it in first. So thank you.
I actually waited. I waited on you to actually say it at the same time as you, and I thought I did from my end.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay. I'll try and get it a little early.
Yeah,
We're gonna get used to it.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. We're still figuring out the ping, everybody. So bear with us through this trying
Internet's
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I speak into an electric cable, and it goes to my friend's head.
It comes out of an electric cable wrapped around my head.
Yeah, that is true. Little coils.
Oh, no.
So as they're returning to Cabal City, they find that it was under attack by the Order. The white aligned, the faction is basically attacking the black faction. Probably there's a little bit of blame for the massive tidal wave that like devastated the coast and like the entire section of country that was turned to crystal, including all the people in it.
Details.
So these like goody two shoes white boys are like, you can't go around doing that. Meanwhile, the
I
Cabal
want to
is...
see all the trophies for the blood sport.
Yeah, that's it.
Even
Cabal's
that one under the blanket.
Cabal's like, anything is worth it for one more death in the arena. So they're under attack by the Order. Chainer and Kamal both enter the battle, but Kamal was badly injured by an Order Justicar. He's knocked unconscious.
Oh,
Now, if you guys were listening to our last episode, this might sound very familiar. Instead of a green dragon, it's a white Order attacking. Kamal regains consciousness. He finds himself in a Cabal hospital with snakeskin grafted over his wounds, skin that Chainer had created for him using the Mirari. So, our
Did
boy...
he wish?
Yeah,
He
essentially.
was gonna die.
It's not like...
his friend saved him.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what's implied. Or just like, he grafted the skin onto him. It's unclear if he was going to die for a reason I'll get to in a little bit. But basically, Chainer, for his efforts in the defense of Cabal City, similar to the lieutenant in the last episode, has been awarded the Mirari, and Kamal wakes up too late to get his hands on it.
But he's got snakeskin now.
I have theories.
His friend had won and used its power to graft the snakeskin onto him, a process which horrified Kamal as it went against his barbarian principles.
Only leather, no reptile skin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, only mammal skin, like spider skin. James,
I'm pretty sure that's a skinnable creature in World of Warcraft or spiders.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can
sure,
get their
though.
shell.
is it? It might be. Yeah.
Oh no.
I
I know you can get like crushed ichor from them. I'm not sure. Anyways,
Yeah, I don't
They're
know.
chitinous.
I've never
so you
done
can-
skinning.
Yeah.
Were the theories that you mentioned all pertaining to World of Warcraft leatherworking skill, or
no.
something
No,
more
so
relevant?
one is that he tried to save him, and like another one that this was like on purpose by Chainer, because Chainer wants to be a better warrior, right? In the end, and maybe it was his greatest fear to go against his warrior ways, so he wished that upon him for some reason or another.
So it's unclear. As
Yeah.
far as we can tell, Chainer just wanted to save his friend and, potentially make
Yeah.
him stronger. He didn't realize, again, Kamal with his friggin' scruples is like, hey, grafting the skin of an evil creature onto me is kind of like not cool without my consent, dude.
What about the hook hand? No, that I like.
Yeah. That I really like.
I didn't even lose my hand in that fight.
Yeah. So in order to cleanse himself of the additions, Kamal burns off the skin, leaves the hospital, and holes up in a cheap hostel to heal naturally. So
What?
okay.
Yeah, it's just like fuck
That's
you.
hardcore.
It's like fuck you,
No,
Chainer.
fuck.
You saved my life. You defended the city, but I don't like that you did this to my body without my consent. I'm gonna burn it off
Yeah.
and just go, heal naturally for a couple months.
And I'm gonna sue the hospital for false imprisonment.
Yeah.
So the rest of this episode's about that lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly. The case of Kamal v. Cabal City.
Cabal
Cabal
City
become-
General.
Yeah. It does turn out
KBG?
KBG,
Oh yeah.
CBG,
Yeah.
Oh,
CBD. What? Are they smoking weed in Cabal City? They're big THC fan. The dementia summoner is definitely a big THC fan, less so on the CBD.
dude, that boy came from a green land, didn't he? Oh no, he didn't. I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He was more mountain aspect. But you're pretty wrong pretty often on this show, so nothing new there.
Jesus.
So kind of like I had alluded to earlier, it turns out that a powerful artifact which can grant the user his wildest fantasies is a dangerous thing in the hands of someone who literally summons demons from his own fantasies to defeat his enemies. Kamal was forced to confront his old friend when the curse of the Mirari drove Chainer into madness, causing him to summon a vast horde of dementia horrors. So, be careful what you wish
That's
for.
a lot of upkeep.
Yeah.
Is the theme of the monkey's paw, also the theme of the Mirari, it seems like. And it seems like somebody who already wishes into existence horrible creatures, horrible demons, is, a bad person to be holding this artifact. So Kamal was unwilling to kill Chainer at first, and instead tried to talk him out of his insanity before it was too late. Tragically, Kamal was unsuccessful, as the power of the Mirari overcame the Dementia Summoner and warped his body into a hideous mass of Dementia beasts. So
Oh, cool. So he's like a big wad of monsters that he imagined.
yeah,
Become his own worst fear.
yeah. You guys know Katamari Damacy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love that band.
yeah, it's a game where you play a little Japanese entity, and you just roll up the world. You play a prince, I think, actually.
Yeah, it's Prince of all Cosmos.
Yeah, exactly. And
That game does scale really well. Like you really start like at the cracks of the sidewalk, and
Yeah.
then by the end, you're big enough to roll up buildings. And
Yeah.
it all feels gradual, and it honestly a really cool game. You guys should check it out if you haven't.
yeah, check it out. Look at the ball that Mr. Damacy is rolling up, and imagine that it's like horribly misshaped demons and humans with like extra limbs and like mouths growing out of their necks and like just teeth sprouting from everywhere, and all of
It's like
those
The
just rolled
Thing,
into one
basically.
big ball. I haven't seen it, but yes, it's
Really?
just like the Thing.
Okay.
The Thing in Katamari
It's a
Damacy, yeah, it's a thing. It's just like the Thing in Katamari Damacy. If the Thing in Katamari Damacy was actually, lifeless corpses rolled into one thing and then reanimated with like weird mutations.
Right, and Kurt Russell was rolling the ball the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess you could say that there's big trouble in Little Cabal City.
Okay.
I just was trying to say that, but I was trying to let you finish, dude.
You should have said it at the same time as me. I thought that's what we were
I
doing.
know.
I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
no.
looking at you on screen here, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna say it at the same time as me, but
Yeah.
the satellite delay. Sorry, folks at home. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, it just takes a little practice, right? I'm just getting used to still when to jump in and stuff. It took me long enough whenever we were in front of each other, right? I don't know when to talk to these guys.
Yeah, no. Why would you want to?
Only when
No.
you have to.
Yeah, exactly. As Chainer dies, he gives to Kamal ends up defeating the horrible monster, demon monster beast thing.
Is he inside the meat wad? Did he have a last conversation with him, or?
No, not really. Just like
Oh, okay.
he turns into this horrible thing, gets slain, then kind of transforms back into himself, or becomes lucid enough as the meat monster to give Kamal the Mirari.
Okay.
Kamal, our boy, has finally. It took an hour and a half, but Kamal finally has the Mirari. He attaches it to the pommel of his sword with the intention of keeping the dangerous artifact in safe hands. He's like, "Hey, I have it. It's part of my sword. I'm better than everybody else. My best friend, who is almost as strong as me in many ways, who I respect in a lot of ways. I'm much better than him, and I'll be fine with this thing. It won't be a problem." So now that he has this thing that everybody who's touched it that he knows of so far has gone completely mad, caused massive damage to their immediate surroundings, and put a lot of people's lives at risk, he takes this and he decides, I'm going to go home, where like all my loved ones are.
Meanwhile, he's all patchy from where he's burnt himself, like all the snake skin off of him. And he's carrying this mangled sword back home.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Covered in the blood of his best friend. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta go back
Lots
to
of
where my
meat.
loved ones are, though. That's great.
yeah.
Look, if I'm gonna have a catastrophe, it's got to be personal.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to want my family around if I'm going to go on a horrible killing spree.
I'm not gonna
oh,
miss
sis.
these homeless people.
Kamal returns to his old home in the Partick Mountains, where he was reunited with Jessica and Balthor. Initially, he was content simply to return home covered in glory, but inevitably the
And
artifact,
scars.
yeah, inevitably
Is that what you call it?
covered in glory, yeah. That's what I call my Friday nights. Yeah. But inevitably, the artifact, which managed to warp the minds of everyone who tried to control it, managed to warp even Kamal's mind. I don't know. I really feel like I buried the lead and made it seem like he was going to be fine at the end of all this. But yeah, it does warp his mind too.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't expecting that at all.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I wove quite the narrative that probably this is the Shyamalan twist for all the listeners at home. who weren't expecting. We always have one Shyamalan twist in every episode.
Yeah,
Dude,
the lesson
yeah,
of the
well,
monkey's paw.
You're quite quite the mammal to weave that web.
Yeah, exactly. With my milk,
Yeah, no,
a milk web.
I love the moral of the monkey's paw was always be careful what you wish for. Unless you're just good enough, then wish for whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you're just good enough and surrounded by your loved ones.
Yeah, all those other people needed was support. And that would have prevented Birdman from turning to crystal if he
Yeah.
had his bird friends and bird wife with him.
Yeah.
I have a question. Did Jessica, had she popped as a planeswalker yet? Yes.
At this point, she has.
Okay, so she's a planeswalker.
Yeah, she's done her thing. So he goes back. She's actually, I'm not sure. It wasn't.
She's shuffling her deck.
Wasn't specified. Let's say Lore Boy's canon, she wasn't, and we'll get to what did it.
Cool.
So he becomes increasingly aggressive and unpredictable, even for a barbarian, because Wizards of the Coast barbarians like to rage and be unpredictable. And he attempts to take control of all the tribes under his dictatorship. So, like, the tribe that he returns to wasn't even his tribe. He wasn't, like, head of the tribe. His father wasn't head of the tribe. His good friend Balthor was head of the tribe. And he's like, I'm going to take your
dwarf
tribe.
guy, right?
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to take your tribe. I'm going to take their tribe. I'm going to take everybody's tribe. I'm going to unite them under me because I have the Mirari and I am better than everybody and I should be in charge. Jessica and Balthor try to reason with Kamal, but were forced to oppose him as the barbarians divided into factions and ready for war. So they try and reason with him. They're like, ever since you came back with that artifact that you talk to in the middle of the night when you think nobody's listening, you've been so different. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about you, but something just seems so off.
You told me that story about your best friend who conjured horrors, and now you're just different.
Yeah, and how you had to kill him to get this thing. You told me the story about how the last person you had, it turned into horrors. The person before him wiped out half the continent in that massive tidal wave, which didn't hit us because thankfully we're in the mountains. And the person before him who turned everything around him into crystal. But like, there's something off about you. I can't put my finger on it.
Came home in a leather jacket covered in burn scars everywhere.
Yeah, that's it.
Sword hilt. Like,
you don't just shut it off. Yeah, so I guess Kamal is just Rambo at this point. I guess if Rambo had a monkey's paw, that's how that movie would have ended. But he didn't.
Instead of PTSD.
Yeah, he had PTSD. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Just like
they drew first blood, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. The Mirari drew first blood. Yeah.
That's when he breaks into the police station to kill the Mirari. I haven't seen Rambo.
Yeah, it's good. It's a Rambo First Blood Part 1 is a very good movie. The rest
he
of them
has
are
like
okay.
18 lines. He has like 18 lines, and 16 of them are they drew first blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of dialogue from your boy Sylvester Stallone, which is maybe to the movie's credit, right?
I'd say so.
Especially early Stallone, because he was still figuring out a lot of stuff. Adrian!
Yeah, figuring out how to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Never quite got that one down, though. Kamal supporters. So the people who are pro-PTSD in this analogy, I guess, and his opposition, so the people who are anti-PTSD. Jamie,
so there's the people who like the Mirari and the people who don't.
Jamie, where do you
I don't
fall
know if
on
I
this?
want to go down this path.
Are you
I don't
pro
like this path
PTSD
anymore.
or anti PTSD, James?
Oh no. There's no way to handle that gracefully.
Well, I think it's pretty cut and dry, right? You're either for or against PTSD. I mean,
I'm against people having it.
wow.
but
So you
I
think people
also-
who have PTSD are wrong? Okay, that's a bold statement.
No, you didn't let me finish. But I also think it's super valid, and when people have it, that they should be treated. But at the same time, if nobody had it, it would be a better thing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. What good has come out of PTSD? Probably something.
Yeah, I think
Maybe some piece of art.
I'm gonna say I
Yeah.
think everybody should just be happy all the time. Even when they're not happy, you should be happy. You know.
And fragment off and then fight over one thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then fight over whether or not this one guy who's trying to unite all the nations of the world under his banner, fight him. Or don't fight him. Whatever makes you happy, I guess.
Boom. Mental health boys.
Yeah. So Kamal supporters in the opposition meet in a dramatic battle. Jessica and Balthor on the opposing side, and Kamal and his lackeys, I guess, at this point, on his side. It ends with Kamal viciously impaling Jessica with his Mirari sword, leaving her barely alive, but with an incurable burning chest wound that gradually eats away at her.
Cool.
So I'm going to say, Loreboy's canon, this is when her Planeswalker Spark ignites. So I guess, like, in an effort to keep herself alive, she pops the popcorn kernel, as Jamie said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen, that he was going to trigger it, because why go into this with his whole story? But I guess he's going to be a bad guy, too. So that sucks. She should throw some snakeskin on it. and it'll be fine. By
Yeah, it's less of snake skin on that bad boy. And like Kamal has the power to do it, and like he loves his sister, and like he wants to save her, but he's like, it goes against my barbarian principles, though, sis. Look, sis, this kind of happened to me. I got saved this way, and then I just had to like peel off the band-aid and put my own band-aid on, and I think like morally it was fine, but I don't think you can do that. It would be like be unethical.
Is she a fire planeswalker, or is she the red type?
She's blue eventually, I believe.
Okay, I thought she might have like fire be her power.
Oh no,
So
she is red. Yeah.
Okay.
So Jessica's card is a 2 colorless, 2 red. She has first strike and haste, and you can tap her to deal 1 damage to target creature or player.
Damn.
She's a 3/1.
Can haste attack face and creatures, or only creatures?
Face and creatures. Well, so you don't attack creatures in Magic. You only attack face, and then the other player can block.
Oh.
So the other player can choose to block.
And haste means you can attack right as you play the card. You don't have to wait a full turn to get into the attack phase, right?
Yeah. So haste means that you can tap as the turn that it comes into play. So she has a tap ability, so you can put it into play, tap, and deal 1 damage to a creature, which can be like really helpful. So like how Magic works. Let's say you play Jessica. She's on the battlefield, and then you pass priority. You don't attack. You go to the opponent's turn. The opponent wants to attack, but you have a blocker that deals 2 damage, and you have Jessica, which can deal 1 damage to basically anything on the battlefield. So if they have like 3 health, it can be super helpful.
Yeah. You can clean that up. Okay. Man, we should play sometime. Magic sounds like fun.
We could totally play sometime if you'd like. For anybody who wants to watch James and I play Magic the Gathering online, tweet at us. Let us know.
That's true, actually.
So, Kamal stabs Jessica. Jessica gets her spark. Kamal is shocked by this. Shocked into rational thought, almost.
I didn't think this would be traumatizing enough to ignite her Planeswalker spark.
Yeah.
All I did was stab her with my evil sword.
Yeah.
My own sister.
Yeah. Wow, stabbing your sister through the chest with a magical evil sword that has taken over your brain really gives you some perspective. You know what I mean? For anybody out there lost in life, consider it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Make sure you get the right magic evil sword first, though. You don't want to do it with any just evil sword. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or her soul will get sucked into it or something.
Probably check that she does have a latent spark in there as well.
Yeah, make sure she was bullied in school or something like that,
Yeah,
right? That's how Jace popped.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Just start bullying her now, honestly, and then just stab her in 5 years, see what happens.
It's an investment.
So
yeah, it's the long con.
Kamal comes out of this bender, I guess he's been on, when he stabs Jessica. And he's kind of like, "Oh my God, it wasn't me. It was the Mirari all along."
Doing whippets out of the Mirari.
Yeah. He's got an aerosol can on the bottom of his sword. Like, I gotta unite the tribes. Oh fuck!
I'd get all the cats out of my computer.
Yeah. So he wakes up. He's like, it was the Mirari all along, and he resolves. You know what? Now I am gonna do that thing that I said that I would do, and just get rid of this because this is no good. This is bad news bears. Kamal feels a calling from the Croson Forest. So Krosa was
Croson Dragon.
The Croson Dragon that came, the green aspected dragon. So Kamal, like I said, like Jessica, they're from the mountains, so they're red aspected because it's mountains. The black aspect is swamps. So Kamal was in a swamp city, but he's a mountain boy at heart, and now he feels the forest city or the forest area calling to him.
He's like the littlest hobo. He's just all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. He decides to travel there to hopefully both heal Jessica and get rid of the Mirari. He was accompanied by a concerned Balthor, and on his tail is an old rival, Laquatus. So,
the merman, he's back.
The merman ambassador, not the Mer Empire, but the merman ambassador who originally got the Mirari from the Aven, who turned everything to crystal, and then gave it to his lackey, and his lackey lost it and accidentally dropped it into a mailbox, and it was already addressed to the Empire of Mer, and it just went straight to the Emperor. Little known fact, if you address something to a country, it goes to the leader of that country. So you can just mail anything. Yeah, if you could just mail something to Canada, and it'll go to Justin Trudeau, or you can mail something to the United States, and it'll go to Donald Trump.
so impractical.
That's
Why in
completely
the
made
world
up.
would
That's
that-
completely made up, Jamie.
Oh my
This is not a real thing.
It's obviously not true.
You had me, dude. Never trust a teacher. Never trust
fair.
Yeah.
It does sound like a law from like 1660.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anything you may address to the keep will go to the king. And
Yeah.
because we don't live in castles anymore, nobody took it off the books, so it's still technically legal.
Yeah.
It's illegal to tie a skunk to a fire hydrant or whatever.
Yeah.
That's 100% what I thought. Like, it was just an old thing that never got fixed. Like, if you put a passport in the mail, it'll go to the person who owns the passport. If you put something to a country, why not the person who owns the country? And
That is
our
true.
leaders own the
Because I own a passport. Actually, no. Doesn't the government of Canada own my passport? Isn't that how it
Frick.
works?
So
So
we
you
all
know-
own a tiny piece of it because we elect those people. So we all own a little bit of your passport.
I own 1/38 millionth of my passport. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, I gotcha. What is that, like 2%? That's not very much.
How many bits is that?
Yeah, JB, how many Mexican pesos is that?
That's 90.
Okay, 90 again. Okay, so it's the same as $3 Canadian. I gotcha.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So
Or 1/360 millionth of a passport.
yeah,
All the
exactly.
same.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So they're Balthor and Kamal go to Crosa to try and save Jessica. They're pursued by Laquatus. Peter.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So now that he stabbed his sister through the chest, and he's just like, okay, wait a second, I'm cured. The dwarf who raised her was just like, I trust you. Let's go save her.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe it's like, I'm going to keep an eye on you, but I don't think I could kill you if I tried.
All
Like,
right, yeah.
I'm going to be here to make sure you don't go crazy again if I
I'm
can.
gonna die so fucking loud, you'll never get away with this.
Yeah, exactly. I'll scream. I could scream real loud.
Big
they're-
lungs in my little body.
Yeah. My legs are so
map
short to make more room for my lungs. So Balthor, Laquatus is chasing them. Balthor would die at the edge of the Croson Forest, sacrificing himself to buy Kamal more time to find somewhere to heal Jessica.
Okay.
Sorry. So Laquatus is pursuing them. There's a battle. Laquatus is in league with someone named Braids, who I will get into in a bit, who is a Cabal sorcerer. So Braids was kind of sent after Laquatus when he originally got the Mirari. And she's been also hunting it down for the Cabal ever since. But they meet in this forest, they realize Kamal has it, and they kind of form like a temporary pact. And Balthor sacrifices himself to buy Kamal more time while he fights like the Cabal forces and Laquatus's forces as they're chasing them. Kamal was...
This thing's wily. People just chase it around in circles forever.
Yeah, it like leaves a lot of death in its wake, it seems like.
Well, that too.
Yeah, which is like, why wouldn't you want it, right?
Yeah, it grants wishes.
Yeah, it does grant wishes, leaves a trail of destruction in your path.
It's like money.
It's just
Yeah.
like, oh wow, it's a metaphor for money. But how much money? How many pesos, James?
90.
How many
Nice.
bits to stab my sister?
Yeah. That's it.
Is that the title?
Yeah. The new Lore Boys
Sure.
Patreon tier is $1,000 per month, and I will stab my sister every month.
Yes.
For each patron at that tier.
Yeah,
You don't have one.
Jamie,
I have a sister.
we're
I have
trying
a sister, it's fine.
we're trying to reel in the rubes here. Come on.
No, man. If I've learned anything, if we go after the money or the Mirari, it's just gonna hurt us.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Will
we
my
do have a
sister be
Patreon.
okay though? Kamal ends up not alone. He runs into another old friend, a centaur druid named Seton or Seton. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. He guides Kamal into the heart of the forest. So
Does he turn into other half man, half animals as a druid?
as a druid, yeah. Other races, so he can turn to like half elf, half walrus. He can turn into half dwarf, half flatworm. You know.
Half dwarf, half giraffe. There's little tiny,
Yeah.
like, little head and shoulders up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half spider, half cow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all a
Both
cow,
men.
really.
Yeah,
But then
exactly.
you get 2 kinds of milk out of it.
Yeah.
What? Do you want your milk with or without string?
Yeah.
Yeah, it If you're vegan, take it out of the spinnerets.
Yeah. So
Milk without pulp, please.
yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my God, pulpy milk. So Seaton guides him to the heart of the forest and says like, "Hey, you got to sit down, dude. You've had a rough couple years. Like, you need to reflect. You need to look back on your life and say like, how did you get here, and how do you stop yourself from ending up here again? I'll watch Jessica. I'll nurse her back to life."
We'll go down the Old Town Road.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Kamal spends much time contemplating what he had learned and gradually renounces his old ways. His meditations, however, were interrupted by Laquatus, who had come to finally claim the Mirari for himself. Their showdown was further complicated by the reappearance of Balthor, who had been zombified by the Cabal wizard Braids and sent to take revenge on the merfolk responsible for his death. So Braids, after Balthor sacrificed himself holding everybody off, Braids sneaks in, the Cabal wizard who I had mentioned, and
creates a revenant, basically.
And she resummons him to go fight Laquatus, because Laquatus didn't hold up part of his end of the bargain in defeating Kamal to get the Mirari. Laquatus, however, is able to take mental control over Balthor and instead forces the undead dwarf to battle his former pupil. So Balthor trained Kamal when they were young. Balthor begged Kamal to end his torment, and so Kamal was forced to strike down his old mentor.
Ugh.
Jessica, during this, had been left with Seaton, like I'd said. But the centaur failed to protect her, and she was captured by Braids, who brought her back to the Cabal Patriarch. So Braids is like, I'm not strong enough to get the Mirari, but I'm strong enough to get the Mirari the stabbed girl, the Mirari wielder's sister. And it's like really unclear what the Cabal's going for here, because they get back. She takes her to the Cabal Patriarch, who's like the leader of the Cabal. And the Cabal Patriarch is like King Midas, if instead of gold, Midas's touch turned everything to necrotizing flesh.
Ew.
So it's like almost as deadly, but like a whole lot smellier.
It's the plague, yeah.
Yeah.
It's leprosy.
Yeah, so like not...
He's a leper, yeah.
Yeah, not as instant as turning someone's lungs to gold, but like just grosser, I guess.
He's got the little nub fingers wrapped with bandages. He's just like, yeah, let me hold her.
Yeah. So they get Jessica, and they're, I think, ultimately still trying to get the Mirari. But the Cabal Patriarch is like, well, I'm going to touch her. Obviously, I'm going to touch her, right?
I don't like where this is going.
So this is the other point where I would say non-lore voice canon, but I think this might be her Planeswalker Spark kicking off.
The flesh-eating disease?
Yeah. So the Patriarch attempts to use his touch on Jessica. However, the combination of this killing touch, her Planeswalker Spark, and the intervention of Kubur, a black wizard worshipped as a god by the Cabal, she was instead changed. So there was an old wizard who's gone from the world but still worshipped as a god, so he kind of still has some like latent powers, who intervenes whenever the Cabal Patriarch, who worships Kubur, touches Jessica. The Patriarch's attempts to destroy Jessica instead give birth to Phage the Untouchable.
Okay, yes.
So we talked about Phage on the last episode. She's the card that, like, if you can deal damage to the other player, they lose the game. Or like any player that takes damage from Phage loses the game.
Right.
Also,
or if she goes to the graveyard, which you can just manipulate it to get it in the opponent's hand and then put it into the graveyard or something like that.
Yeah, so like it also has card text that says like if you cheat the card out. So if you have something that says like search your deck, there are cards which are like search your deck for a card, put it onto the battlefield. But she has a clause in her text that says if when this enters the battlefield, if it entered from any zone other than your hand, you lose the game. So you can't cheat her out. But if you could get her from your graveyard to the opponent's battlefield or something like that, then they would lose the game like that as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a fun, quirky mechanics card. But the character itself is indestructible, very, very strong. Jessica was cursed so that anything she touched would rot, just like the Cabal Patriarchs. And because of this, the only fabric that she could touch was silk, and she could only touch inorganic items like stone and steel. So she wore the finest silks.
That's what I told my office too for whenever they're booking my Airbnb.
Only silk.
Only silk, because anything
I can't touch
else.
it, I'm cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Silk from the finest mammalian silkworms, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a quick tidbit about the word phage here, because it's
eat.
also like a poisonous weapon in Warframe, and it's short for bacteriophage, which is a virus that infects and replicates within bacteria and archaea.
So phage, the root phage is Greek, actually. So you should know this, Peter. You're fucking up. It's
I don't speak Greek.
Or eater. So she's like one who consumes, essentially.
Oh yeah. Okay, I have heard that before.
Yeah.
When Peter eats too fast at the dinner table, his grandma tells him that.
Yeah.
You
She
phage.
calls me Phage the Untouchable.
You fat phage the untouchable. Greek grandparents are very mean. I've never had one.
And love magic.
But they love Magic the Gathering, and they're very mean.
Yes.
What else do you do on all those boats? Other than play card games, right?
And chase your grandkids with a wooden spoon.
And eat tzatziki.
Yeah.
I can get
With
behind
your
that.
beaten spoon.
So Phage, this kind of like zombie-esque, zombie-adjacent Jessica, fights loyally for the Patriarch, and due to the unique nature of the relationship, ends up bearing him a child. This child turns out to be the reincarnation of Kubur. So that god, who I said was kind of like gone from this world, he's back. He's the daughter of Phage and the Cabal Patriarch. So that kind of seems like why he intervened in the first place. And was like, this woman is going to be my mother. You know what I mean?
She's a comely lass of virtue, true. And he was just like, yeah.
It's love at first sight, but it's the love between a mother and a son. The son who's a god. So
He saw an open window across the room, and he was just like, I'm diving out headfirst, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a baby bird just imprinted on something else.
Yeah, exactly.
On a spider.
On a spider, yeah,
On a spider,
exactly.
yeah.
So he, a god, closed a door and opened a window and jumped through that window. Yeah.
There you go.
Phage
Lots of metaphors.
Phage fights loyally for him. Yeah, I'm really good at combining metaphors, and people actually really love that. They tell me that all the time. They're like, I love the way that you combine metaphors in really stupid ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people tell me that.
What's that combined? Is there a word for combined metaphor?
Combinaphor. So Phage.
All right. Well, let's just keep going. Yeah, it's fine.
No, that sounds right.
I'm not going to look it up.
The art of combining metaphors is combinaphorics. Phage fights in the Cabal's gladiator pits, just like her brother, although he never had to turn into a zombie person to do it, to find the want to do it. But she ends up fighting in the Cabal's gladiator pits, and since she only needs to touch her opponents to kill them, she's pretty good. She's pretty
good at it.
She's pretty good. She fights, and she wins, and she fights some more. A hip young mom slitting throats in the blood pits. While doing this, Phage...
I like that. I want that on a t-shirt.
Hip young mom slitting throats in the blood pits. That's
I was imagining her when she's choosing her weapon. Like you've got like the wall of medieval weapons.
Yes.
And for her, it's just like she grabs like a pair of those knit smoking gloves that you have.
Yeah,
exposed.
the fingerless gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that they have to choose like their weapon, like a duel or whatever, every time. Just barehanded combat for her. It just lays in the middle. Come touch me.
So maybe keep an eye on the Lore Boys Patreon, and maybe we'll have a t-shirt tier at one point where Peter will do
Touch you.
an art of Phage, and it'll have that slogan on it.
Hey, one day, keep an eye on it. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. So while doing this, Phage doesn't realize she was afflicted. She it seems has worms. Each time Phage kills someone, she basically births a death worm inside her. Worm spelled W-U-R-M.
Okay.
So they're like hundreds of meters long, and they're like covered in armor, and they have these like big gaping maws, like a purple worm from Dungeons and Dragons. For any of the listeners at home, I assume you guys aren't familiar with it, but they're like a mile long, and they're just like super destructive and super super powerful. And she's basically like every time she kills someone, she's taking their soul and like turning it into this thing inside her.
Frig, she's figured out the pill and the cheese trick.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. It seems from Phage's first kill, a woman named Nivea, like the skin cream,
Okay.
she was marked. A dream mage named Ixidor, Nivea's husband and chronic pit fight gambler, takes notice of her and her worm affliction. After his wife dies, Ixidor's wife Nivea, he was expelled from the city due to his gambling debts. So basically, he was like gambling a lot, and his wife was like fighting in the pit and making enough money to pay his debts. And then he like bets on his wife, like huge underdog in this fight against the woman who's literally named the Untouchable and can kill people with a single touch. And he's like, I'm gonna bet against her because my wife is pretty special. I think she can do it.
I think she's the greatest. That's why I married her.
So
it's like, okay, man.
His wife dies.
Moral is
He's kicked out of the city, and now he has plans for revenge, and he sees these worms inside her. And I think
I need to go back here about these worms quickly.
Okay.
Because were you just about to conclude the episode?
I was, yes.
For now, in that case, let's get one last little factoid out here. How are these worms huge? Are people bound to them, like soul bound to them, and they're somewhere else in the world?
So the people are dead. Their souls are within Phage, and she has the power to manifest these giant, like, cataclysmic worms in reality called death.
Okay,
worms.
they just exist on another plane, right?
Yeah, again, it kind of feels like a dementia summoner where she can like summon them from a personal plane.
Okay, that's all I
could
needed to know.
Could be like Kuber's realm or something like that.
and for all of you at home, we all have a personal plane within us. So why don't you go home and just dream up whatever you like in that personal plane
you
tonight.
put any kind of worm you want in there.
Friendly worms.
You put little worms with boots, worms with feet.
One boot on the end.
Worms with boots. That's like a year-old reference to our own show.
That's for the hardcore listeners out there. I did want to wrap this up in 2 episodes, but it's looking like I'm not gonna. I'll have more than enough to keep talking about Phage and Jessica and her brother Kamal on a 3rd episode, where I should be able to wrap this one up. Sorry, it's taking 3 rather than 2, like I originally promised when I like to get it done in 1. Again, if you guys like the multi-parters, let us know, because we're always really unsure, and I know we tend to space them out. I think I'm gone next week again, so
Jesus.
we've been struggling a lot to get episodes out. A lot, my fault for sure. But we super appreciate you guys supporting us and helping us out and like jumping on the Patreon and interacting with us on Twitter, all that stuff. Like, so let us know if you're listening to this right now. Pull out your phone, type on Twitter, be like, hey, I like the multi-parters. Hey, I prefer the single shots. Or hey, you guys are dumb, but I still listen every week just to hear how dumb you are. I've been Ethan Palmer. I've been your host. You can find me at Ethan the Dead Man on Twitter. That's the only social media I really use at all. We do have a Discord, which we're using right now to record this. We promise the audio quality should be better. We're gonna tweak it as much as we can. Jamie will be in another country, so there's only so much we can do. But at least I will have a better mic, and Jamie might have a laptop which can actually support the calls.
Yeah, more likely than not, this is going to be what my voice sounds like for a little bit, but maybe in Mexico I can find like another option. But for now, this is what it's going to be. But
we'll look into it. So if you don't like it, tweet at us. Say like, hey, Jamie's voice sounds raspy, and we will just tell you like, yes, we know that. You didn't need to tell us that.
All the cigarettes I've been smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
He should just quit his job so he doesn't have to go on business trips anymore and maintain audio quality.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's the $1,000 a month tier on Patreon. Nowhere near enough to support him, but
nope.
So Jamie, where can people find you while you're in Mexico?
I'm probably going to be playing some Steam actually, rather than PlayStation. So if you want to add my Steam, it's JAYMILK, no 2 L's, just one. 64, JMilk64. That's on Steam and Twitch.tv/The Lore Boys. If I can find a way to stream for Mexico, I will. But if not, I'm planning on at least doing one more Hollow Knight stream this weekend. So
farewell.
And how about you, Pete? Yeah.
I've been at Pete O'Donoghue on Twitter, and of course at Lore Boys Podcast on Instagram. Those are the only 2 things I use. Also, Lore Boys on YouTube. I upload multiple episodes, older episodes a week, with the art that goes with them. It depends on how busy I am. but it's been between 3 and 5 a week. So subscribe to us there. A lot of people have been listening there. If that's your preferred way of getting it, is the Lore Boys on YouTube. Thank you everybody for listening. Now obviously we appreciate everybody's support. We appreciate everybody who's on the Patreon now and in the future, but ultimately all we really want people to do is just download and listen to and share the show. Leave us reviews is really, really important. Frankly, more important than anything is leave us a review on whatever app you're using. And that's it. I've been taking care of myself and catching up on some things, so keep it on the feeds.
Yeah, and I know we got the Patreon set up, and we're super appreciative of the people who signed up. But we're still keeping it going with Lore Boys Premium. It is kind of a separate thing.
Patreon's Prime. Premium is a completely different animal.
Yeah, it's totally different. So
not like cows and spiders, which are functionally the same.
Yeah. So this week, if you want to support us other than the Patreon, which you can find, it's patreon.com/theloreboys.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to go there, you can just tweet at us saying like, "Hey, I want to subscribe to Lore Boys Premium," and we'll DM you for ways that you can get us direct payment. It's $29.99 every 3 days on Lore Boys Premium. And this week we're offering something pretty special. We've all been dreaming up our own special types of worms. Mine is a worm which has a head at both ends, and one end is always eating, and the other end is always puking candy. So we're going to try and get you guys our worms. So Jamie, why don't you walk us through what your worm is?
I ate a lot of raw meat, and I cannot get them out of my system. So anyone who'll take any of them,
Jamie
please.
has many worms. And Peter, what's your worm?
Mine has one little cartoon eye and a cartoon mouth, and he's constantly getting into misadventures.
That's cute.
So
That's cute.
He's like sometimes he can get hurt in his misadventures, but he's like a cartoon, so it doesn't matter. But everything has like a good moral lesson to teach you as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
so if you want any of mine, you can get me. I have an Instagram as well. It's Dirtworm Jim. So you can get
Dirtworm Jim. It's pictures of his worms in exactly the setting that you'd imagine with a name like that.
Pictures of his feet from a hospital bed.
and that constitutes a Lore Boys.
Lore Boys.
Out.
Out.
Bye bye.